to the virtual college exploration for all Illinois students, sponsored by the Illinois Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at IACAC.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at that same website, IACAC.org. Now, I'd like to turn it over to our presenters.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine. I am an admissions counselor at Wheaton College. So glad that you're here joining us. I'm going to get right started and show you guys a little bit about Wheaton. I help you to learn a little bit more about what that journey to Wheaton could look like for you. And then I'm also here with my colleague Ellen and a couple of our current students. So we're excited for you to hear their current student perspectives a little bit later on. Want to start with what is the most important thing about us. So at Wheaton here, we desire to serve Jesus Christ and to advance his kingdom. And we do that here through the integration of our faith and our learning. So our hope is that in every space that you're in at Wheaton, your classes, your extracurriculars, the residence halls, the dining halls, you see Christ at the center of everything that you're a part of. And this has been true of us since our founding in 1860. And it's our prayer that in the admissions process that you would experience that as well. We are a distinctively Christian institution, which for us means that all of our staff, faculty, and students are committed Christians on our campus. We have a couple of guiding documents that help us to articulate who we are, what we're about, what we believe in at Wheaton. We have a statement of faith that all of our staff and faculty affirm each year. And we also have a community covenant. This is what our staff, faculty, and students commit to together as a campus. It's mostly made up of scripture. So it really is just our vision for what living the Christian life together looks like at Wheaton. It's our prayer that it would create an environment of grace and challenge and support as we live closely alongside one another here. I graduated from Wheaton in 2016 and would say that the friendships that I built in the residence halls my first year on campus were largely due to the fact that I knew we were all committed to the same type of community at Wheaton. We also have a Christ-centered diversity commitment. For us, we really believe that the values of inclusion, equity, justice, and unity are all central to the greatest commandments and therefore central to our college's mission. So for us, we're really striving to look more like the kingdom of God together here on Wheaton's campus. I want to share with you a little bit about our student body. We have 2,400 undergraduate students on campus, and this information here is a little bit about students that started in the fall of 2019. They come from 41 states and almost 40 countries. About 30% of them are domestic students of color, and then an additional 16% come to Wheaton from an overseas context in some way. And over 70% of them actually come from outside of Illinois. So if you're from Illinois, it's a really cool opportunity to come to Wheaton and get to build relationships with students from all over the world. So it's a really unique opportunity to be a part of a student body like ours. In our whole 2,400 undergraduate student body, we have all 50 states represented, over 90 countries as well. So I made my lifelong friends here at Wheaton and love getting to know people from a ton of different backgrounds and perspectives from me. Our retention rate is 95%. So this is the percentage of first-year students that return for a second year. It's an indication of student satisfaction, right? It tells you, did a student love their first year on campus? Do they want to come back? Can they afford to come back, right? Some reasons why we see some students transfer, but we're not seeing that happen at Wheaton. And you can see that our retention rate is significantly higher than the national average. I want to share with you a little bit of some of the alumni that we've had at Wheaton so you can kind of catch a vision for who our students are and help to envision yourself as one of them. This is Emily. She's from Appleton, Wisconsin. She was a double major in math and physics. And she chose Wheaton because we offered everything she was looking for. A high caliber academics, Christ-centered community, proximity to Chicago. This is Chloe from Detroit, Michigan. She was an English Lit major with an ESL concentration. She went on to get her master's in teaching from us as well. And she chose Wheaton because she loved everyone she met when she visited campus, right? Staff, faculty, and students. And that was really important to her. This is Andrew. He's from Minnesota. I was a chemistry major and a Bible minor. And he really wanted to major in the physical sciences, but also wanted somewhere where his faith could be at the center of the classroom. And so he decided that Wheaton was a perfect place for him because he could get both of those things here. I want to touch on academics. So we're the #1 Christian liberal arts college in the country. We have a ton of different majors and programs that we offer through the College of Arts and Sciences and also through our Conservatory of Music. If you're interested in a music major, we offer a lot of professional music degrees, but even if you just want to continue being involved in music in college, even if you don't want to major in it, it's really possible to be involved in one of our ensembles through the conservatory. As a liberal arts college, we really believe that the liberal arts trains our students to connect a bunch of different disciplines together, right? You get to study a lot of different things and learn about how your faith connects to those different subject areas. The liberal arts trains our students to think critically, ask great questions, communicate effectively, write well, all the skills that employers are looking for these days, no matter what job you have, no matter what major you pursue, right? So you're going to be equipped with a liberal arts education to succeed in your vocation and life beyond graduation from Wheaton. Our gen ed curriculum is called Christ at the Core. It is focused on faith and vocation and how those two things interact with a variety of different disciplines. I sometimes talk with students who want to get their gen eds out of the way as soon as possible and get into their major courses, which is fair. But what's fun about our Christ at the Core curriculum is that there's actually some different options of classes that you can take to fulfill different requirements. It's not necessarily only one class fits into each box. One example of that is you'll take a first-year seminar course, your very first semester on campus. It'll be a small 15 to 20 person class, and you actually have over 30 different options to choose from, all taught by different faculty members, all in different subject areas. So already your very first gen ed class that you're taking, you have a lot of options and a lot of choice in the courses that you select. I think that our faculty are our greatest strengths here at Wheaton. They are experts in their field, which means that often they've written the books for the classes that you're taking. But beyond that, they really care about the mission of Wheaton College. And so what that means is that they want to get to know you as a student and as a whole person, right? Beyond just the homework that you might have for their class. They really care about you and want to serve as a guide and a mentor for you in the college process. Our average class size is 20 students and our student to teacher ratio is 10 to 1. So you are going to have the opportunity inside the classroom to get to know your professors well. But what's even better is that you'll have those options outside the classroom too. So professors are going to have office hours, or maybe they'll grab a meal with you in the dining hall. But also I've been to so many of my professors' homes. They've cooked me dinner. I spent time with their families. They've really opened up their lives to me and wanted to walk with me throughout my time in college. So that's true of professors in every department at Wheaton, and they really, really care about our students. You can see kind of an average student academic profile of our accepted students at Wheaton. We don't share this to say this is exactly what your application should look like. Our application process is really holistic. We know that you're more than just a number, and there's a lot that goes into who you are and your application with us. Rather, I want to kind of help you to picture what it could look like for you to be in the classroom environment at Wheaton. You can be confident that our students are prepared for college, but they want to learn more and dig into a new level of academic challenge in the college season. And oftentimes, learning at Wheaton propels their learning beyond graduation. A lot of our students pursue further education beyond college. Talk a bit about student life and what kind of daily life at Wheaton could look like for you. We are an NCAA Division III school, so we offer about 21 different varsity sports as well as intramurals and club athletics too. So athletics is a really fun part of campus life. We also have over 100 different student groups and activities available to join. So there's a lot to choose from. And in every group, you're going to have an opportunity to have staff and faculty mentor you and help you to grow in your leadership ability through those different activities. We're very residential, so 90% of our students live on campus all 4 years at Wheaton. There's, many reasons for that. One, like I said earlier, so many of our students come from far away, and so they're really invested in what's going on campus, right? We're not a school where students go home on the weekends a lot. There's always things happening on campus, and students are really committed to, daily life residentially. We also have a lot of different residence life options to choose from. So a couple of different first-year residence halls, an upperclassman residence hall, as well as on-campus apartments and houses. So there's a lot of different options as you kind of go throughout your time at Wheaton. We are nationally ranked every year for our food. So I feel like it's important to know if the food's good, and that is definitely true at Wheaton. It's made from scratch most of the time, locally sourced, organic, it's a lot of variety. I love the salad bar. I also really love the dessert section. So the food's really good, and it's always changing, which I really appreciated as a student. Chapel and spiritual formation are really important parts of life at Wheaton. We have chapel Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It's a period of time in the morning where there's nothing else going on campus, and you really have the opportunity to read scripture, pray, fellowship together with students. But in every space, you're going to have opportunities for spiritual formation. And then in terms of the local area, we are located in Wheaton, Illinois, about 25 miles west of Chicago. So a nice downtown Wheaton area. But then there's a train stop right on campus that can get you into downtown Chicago in about 40 minutes. So we love kind of having the best of both worlds in that sense. And a ton of study abroad opportunities, domestic, international, semester long, summer. So there's something for everybody in terms of finding a way to study abroad. Talk a little bit about kind of how Wheaton sets up our students beyond graduation. We have an awesome Center for Vocation and Career. We have career coaches who specialize in different majors. They can help figure out kind of what internships students have had in the past with your major, help you find those practical experiences that are going to help you find a job as well. We offer events based upon where you're at in the vocational season, and we have an awesome alumni network. So we're always working to connect our students with our alumni. You can see that we have 4-year and 6-year graduation rates that are significantly higher than the national average, and our landed rate is 99%. This is the percentage of students within 6 months of graduation who are in their desired next step, whether that be grad school, military service, job, right? Whatever that is, you can be confident that at Wheaton, you're gonna find a job and one that you want when you graduate. Talk a little bit about kind of where some of our alumni are. This is Kirsten. She was an interdisciplinary studies major, and she is currently a freelance theater artist in DC. She says this: "My field is highly relational, and Wheaton taught me the importance of listening well, asking for help, using words to encourage and speak truth, and being generous whenever possible. Those are the skills that have gotten me work again and again." This is Leonard from St. Louis. He was a communications major with a rhetoric concentration. He's currently a business coach at Salesforce. And he really grew in his confidence, and actually through reaching out to an alum of the college, he actually helped him land this job at Salesforce and kind of give him the tools he needed to launch his tech career. And Anna from Pennsylvania, she's a geology major who is currently completing her PhD in hydrology out in Colorado. And she says that Wheaton prepared her with the scientific and writing skills to be successful in her career, but also taught her how to integrate her faith to her science and to her everyday life. And this was really important to her in college. I want to share kind of where Wheaton stands, maybe in comparison to other schools you're looking at or other schools we're typically compared with. I feel like it's helpful to have an idea of if I choose Wheaton, what am I getting in return, right? Can I be confident that I'm making a good investment and that the value that I get back is going to be high? Kiplinger ranks us 27th in best values in liberal arts colleges in the country. We're also ranked by US News and World Report as a top tier liberal arts college. We're 58th on their list. Actually the only distinctively Christian college, even in the top 100. We're also a member college in an organization called Colleges That Change Lives. So CTCL is originally a book, is now a nonprofit organization made up of 45 schools that have shown to be transformational in students' lives through their experiences there. We're one of those 45 schools, and again, the only distinctively Christian college as a member college of CTCL. And then finally, we're consistently ranked as the best college for your money, according to Money Magazine. So what we're seeing is that Wheaton is sitting at this unique intersection between all of these different college rankings. You have an opportunity to receive a top-tier liberal arts education, but you also get to do that within a distinctively Christian environment. There's no other school that can say those two things together. So we really do think that what we have to offer is unique, and definitely want to walk through like what that could look like for you, and how, here in the admissions office, we make that an accessible and an affordable journey for our students. So I'm going to share a little bit about our tuition, financial aid, scholarships, kind of walk you through some of those next steps. These are the costs for our 2020-2021 year. You can see that our tuition is just under $40,000, room and board just under $11,000. So total full tuition, room and board just under $50,000. Most of our students don't pay that full price. We do offer generous need-based financial aid and scholarships that I'll talk about in a second. But if you do need to take student debt or loans out, you can see that our students are really successful at paying them back. And that is the average debt that our students graduate with, which is actually just under the national average. Kind of moving on to financial aid and scholarships, we offer $34 million in grants and scholarships each year to students and families. We are really committed to need-based financial aid and would definitely encourage everybody to submit the FAFSA as part of the application process. Makes you eligible to be considered for government and federal aid, but also Wheaton-specific, need-based institutional aid as well. We also offer merit scholarships. So we offer presidential scholarships. These are academic awards that range from $10,000 to $16,000 a year. What's great about these scholarships is that there is no separate application for them. So if you apply to Wheaton, you're going to be automatically considered for these presidential awards. We also offer multicultural scholarships, music scholarships, and ROTC scholarships. All of these scholarships have additional application processes, so we really encourage you to reach out to us so we can walk you through what it would look like for you to apply to one of these scholarships. I want you to hear again from a couple more alum before we move on to the student panel about what Wheaton helped them with, how they grew at Wheaton, what they would say about their Wheaton experience as they reflect on it. This is Isaiah from Seattle. He was a double major in philosophy and ancient languages. And he says, Wheaton challenged me to not settle with easy answers to life's pressing questions. I also had professors who were deeply involved in my life, both on an academic and a personal level. This is Anna from Minnesota. She was an international relations and French major. She says, I grew holistically at Wheaton. Beyond my academic and vocational growth, my spiritual habits were deepened. I became a more Christ-like friend, and I gained a more meaningful relationship with Jesus that informs my day-to-day decisions and my long-term goals. And this is Hannah. Hannah grew up in China. She was an anthropology major with a gender studies certificate. And she says, I learned so much about who I am, who God is, and how to live in right relationship with the world and with the people around me. Wheaton created me to be the person that I am today. I know personally, that's definitely how I feel. It really transformed my life in so many ways through my experience at Wheaton, and I made lifelong friends for sure. I want to talk about some next steps that you can take with us. If you're a senior, we'd really encourage you to apply. We have both early action and regular decision deadlines. You can see them there. Our early action deadlines are non-binding, so it just gives you your decision back a lot earlier. So definitely go ahead and apply early if you have the time this fall, but we treat our regular decision application rounds exactly the same. We also encourage our transfer students to apply. You can see kind of our priority deadlines there, but we are very flexible with our transfer applicants and kind of work on a rolling basis. So at any point, you can reach out to us with questions about the transfer process. We're going to move on to the student panel. You can see here some ways to contact us. This is our main admissions email. We can get you connected with your admissions counselor. I'd also really encourage you, no matter where you're at in the college search process, to visit us to learn more about us. We are offering both in person and virtual options right now at wheaton.edu/visit. So we have some limited in-person tours. We also have virtual options to do like a live stream tour or to connect with an admissions counselor or a faculty member. So there's lots of ways to learn more about us, kind of no matter where you're at in the college search process. I'm going to turn it over to Ellen, but feel free to put any questions that you guys have in the chat. We'd love to get your questions answered.
Thank you, Catherine. So we'll move into a time of talking with students. So Elijah and Abby, feel free to jump in with your screens and your mics. Hey, good work. So yes, so follow-up questions to anything that Catherine said, we can ask about those, and then as well, any other student-facing questions, they are here to help answer. So we, over time, have definitely put together a bank of frequently asked questions that our prospective students want to hear answers to from current students. And so one of those being, of course, just who are you? So Abby and then Elijah, if you take a moment and introduce yourself, you know, where you're from or where you call home, what year you are at Wheaton, and then as well what you're studying would be great. So Abby.
Hi guys, I'm Abby. I'm a sophomore here at Wheaton. I'm originally from Warsaw, Indiana, which is about 3 hours from Wheaton, and I'm currently studying international relations and psychology.
Yeah, and I'm Elijah Owens. I'm also a sophomore here at Wheaton. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I am studying interpersonal communication.
So one of the other top questions that I know our prospective students always ask is, well, how did you learn about the school, and then why did you pick it? So Elijah, do you want to share with us on that one?
Sure. So I actually first heard about Wheaton at a college fair. I was visiting a college fair that had a bunch of different Christian schools, and I just stumbled across Wheaton's table, asked a little bit about information, found out a little bit more about it, and then I started talking to people that I'd found this school called Wheaton in Illinois, and I found out that I actually knew quite a few people who were alumni of the school. So through my connections with them, I got to speak with them about their experiences at Wheaton, and they convinced me that it was a great place to go to school, and so I decided to visit. And during my visit, I absolutely fell in love with the school.
Abby, how about you? How you found Wheaton, and then as well how you picked it?
I found Wheaton through my sister-in-law, my brother's wife. She grew up in the town of Wheaton. So I heard about it through her, and her siblings go here. So it always kind of had been like this obscure college that I'd heard about but didn't know anything about. So senior year, when I started researching it, I just kind of like checked all the boxes of things I was looking for. So kind of transitioning into like how I chose it. I really wanted a college that had a lot to do off campus on the weekends. There's just fun things to do with friends in college. So just being close to Chicago, also having opportunities. I did a job shadow in Chicago with a Wheaton alum last year, so that was really fun. So just kind of proximity to a big city. I also really wanted my professors to have a Christian perspective. I thought that would be really impactful to my education. And I also really like the heart of Wheaton, just seeing how intentional they are with forming a community. And they have a lot of different programs, just really focusing on sort of a global mindset. So really just, I heard about it kind of through a friend, and then just really seeing Wheaton's heart for the world was kind of what was the thing that really made me want to come here.
So part of a Wheaton experience, as Catherine mentioned, is that we're distinctively Christian. And so that's something that really we encourage our prospective students to dig into, whatever type of school you're looking at. If the school is saying Christian, what exactly does that mean? And so I'm curious to hear from both of you what faith life is like on campus, and then how you've grown in your faith.
Um, so for faith life on campus, I really like to say you will find as much faith as you're looking for. So as much effort as you're wanting to put into growing your faith, you'll definitely find people who are willing to go that far and even farther beyond. So like the bare minimum that you could do is just going to chapel every week. Um, and honestly, I love chapel. Um, I There was a point in time where I just kind of had made up my mind that I didn't like chapel, but then when I like every time I go to chapel, I really enjoy it. So I absolutely love chapel. I highly suggest anyone go to chapel if you decide Wheaton's a school for you. I would really say go to chapel. They're always enjoyable. But also we have discipleship small groups, which are groups led by students who are really looking to help other students dig into the word and just kind of grow together as students. And so last year I joined one of those and was able to get close to a few of the guys on my floor through that experience.
Mhm. Elijah, so something distinct about Wheaton is chapel. So tell me a little bit more about some of those chapels, what they're like, what to expect.
Yeah. So Wheaton does not actually have a denominational affiliation. So because of that, we can do chapel in so many different styles. So throughout the year, there will be guest speakers or different students or faculty on campus who are sharing their experiences, but they're also sharing it in a way that they're comfortable with. So um, a few times a year, we'll have a liturgical service. Um, Oftentimes, we'll have student groups sharing their experiences. I really like William Osborne Society, our organization for Black students on campus. I love that chapel. It's always a great time to listen to the music and hear their experiences. But because Wheaton believes that chapel is important, it is required for all students. But again, we understand that students have different things going on in their lives. So every student has 11 absences a semester. Just, sometimes you have to take a nap. You're up late studying, or maybe you have a test in the next class. It's okay. You can use that time to study. But we want to make sure that chapel is accessible for everyone.
Yeah. So Abby, Elijah talked a bit about chapel. So maybe you want to elaborate some of your experiences of that, or as well, just hear from you about faith life would be great.
Yeah, I'd love to add on to that. I think first of all, I agree with everything Elijah said. I think those are great points. I think specifically with chapel, one of my favorite things is so on Sunday you can kind of go to whichever church you want, but on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, everyone goes to the same chapel. So although I love hearing about everyone's different church services, I think that's really interesting hearing like different sermons that everyone heard on Sundays. I also really like having sort of the shared experience of chapel. So really whoever I run into, if I thought the chapel was just amazing or like there's something that confused me, I can kind of just like talk to anyone. So I really like the aspect of kind of what we learn in chapel doesn't really just stay in chapel because you can talk about it with anyone on campus really. But just more on sort of spiritual life at Wheaton, I really like kind of the beginning of freshman year, like finding a church to attend. I really enjoyed. Last year we had different shuttles to take you to churches, so you don't have to walk to them all the time. It was really fun to sort of go and do church visits with friends and just kind of grow more community on campus through exploring off campus and then just kind of figuring out that there's so many different ways to worship God that I thought was really cool. I feel like it really expanded my understanding of who God is. And just I think my favorite part of kind of spiritual life at Wheaton has just been through like normal conversations. So whether that be with professors, just talking to them about material and just seeing like how God is a part of it, but also just talking with other students and kind of hearing either concerns in their life and we can pray over it, or just them talking about how God's been working on in their life, and that's been really encouraging for me.
Mm-hmm. So Abby's mentioning a shout out to the community, which Catherine also spoke more formally about of what exactly it looks like. But part of the community is in huge part the classroom and your professors. And so it is distinctively Christian integrated. And so what are classes like for you both?
Do you want us to talk specifically right now or like in general?
Take that question however you may. So maybe you have a professor story or a specific class you really like. Definitely open for you to just describe what it's like to integrate faith into your classroom experience.
Okay. I think one of my favorite classes was a class called Global Justice. And so one of the things I love about a liberal arts college is I would have never taken a philosophy class if I didn't have to. And so I took Global Justice as a philosophy class and ended up really loving it. I really like how Wheaton has very like small class sizes. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes it's kind of intimidating for me to like speak up if it's a huge group. So having kind of the smaller classrooms is really helpful. So in that class, we just talked about sort of the philosophical approach to different human rights issues. And I really enjoyed that because it being a Christian class in a Christian college, we could talk about how with human rights issues, humans are so important because they're created in the image of God. And so we did study some sort of like religious aspects of human rights, but also like secular philosophers and kind of what they've contributed to the conversation as well. But really just having sort of this, I feel like it's a very safe space to have conversation. And I noticed that in a lot of my classes, sort of this safe space where we all have like a similar foundation that we're going into it with. And having your professor share that's been really impactful for me. So I really liked that class. I also had a professor last year who was just very relaxed. I found that with a lot of my professors, and they're very dedicated. But I had a professor last year who just kind of like, if we were a couple minutes late to class, he was okay. He understood. It was the first class in the morning. He let us eat breakfast in class. So just kind of like the atmosphere has been like very rigorous academics, but I feel like professors really know where to draw the line and make you feel comfortable in the classroom. And I think really just having that Christian context for conversation has been really beneficial too.
Yeah, to just kind of add on to that, the professors really do care about getting to know students as not just students, but as people. So they'll invite you over to their house occasionally for like a fire in the backyard or for dinner, because they want to spend time with you outside of the classroom. They want to get to know you, not just you as the student who's turning in work to them. Um, so a part of that, I do have a professor story. Last year, I was taking a class that was outside of my major just because I was looking into different majors and different options. So I took School and Society, which is an introductory education class, and the professor that I had for this class, I'd never met him before. He'd never met me. But each professor receives a list with students' names and a picture of them, their ID picture right next to their name, so that if they would like to, they can easily associate their name and their face. But what this professor had done was, for his class of over 40 people, he had gone through and memorized each person's face and name so that when they walked into class on the first day, he was able to say their name just from looking at them. And that just made me feel so loved, and made me feel like he was intentionally putting in effort into our relationship as a professor and student. And he liked to call us colleagues because he's an educator and we were all looking into educating other students. Um, he's a great professor, Dr. Mark Jonas. I highly suggest him. But this semester classes can look a little bit different. Sometimes they can be on Zoom, but we are trying our best to make sure that every student can be in person as much as possible. So most classes you'll be in person 1 or 2 days a week, and then you'll be online at most 1 day a week. And that's just to make sure that, yeah, you get as much time in the classroom as is possible.
Yeah, Elijah, you bring up a good point, which I'm definitely getting more and more from students looking at Wheaton is, okay, so what's happening at Wheaton now with this pandemic? Like, how has life changed? It's great to hear from everybody with all the answers and all the information I collected last year, but like, what about right now? So I'll give the quick rundown of, a lot of social distance, a lot of cleaning, We definitely are wearing masks, and so those are pretty standard practices, I think, across the higher ed field. And so, but particularly at Wheaton, guys, what has it been like to, get to know people and like still have fun during a pandemic?
We spend a lot of time outside. Thankfully, the college has provided it's like 16 or 17 different fire pits that are available for students to reserve for their own use every single day. So if you're wanting to have a fire with your friends, or if you're a part of an organization that is wanting to have a fire with its members, you're able to do that freely. And they also provide s'mores for us as long as there's supplies available. So that's just one way in which we're able to foster community, even despite COVID.
Okay, so I can add on to that a little bit. So I love s'mores too, so that's been a huge bonus this year. So if I'm being honest, it's been a little weird. I think just life in general has felt a little weird this year, but I think Wheaton has done a really good job of still making it feel like Wheaton as much as possible. Because it was strange having sort of everything be normal last year and then having the ability to compare it to this year now. But I think a lot of the really important parts of Wheaton have remained intact, so they've just been in different forms. Like at Wheaton, a big thing that you do with friends is grabbing meals together. It's a good way to catch up, or just sort of catch up on like what your friends' days were like. So in our dining commons, it's a little different, but you can still eat meals with people. We have plexiglass dividers, and so I was able to still grab meals with people who I haven't been able to see in a while. And honestly, you do kind of like forget to notice the plexiglass after a while because they're pretty clear. And so after a while, like I really didn't notice that they were up, so maybe I'm just not observant, but it really isn't as bad. You get your food to go, so you can go and get it in like a container and bring it either to a table in the dining commons, or we can take it outside. So I've noticed my friends and I eating outside a lot, which has been really nice. I actually have really found a lot of new spots on campus outside that I like to hang out at that I didn't notice before. So grabbing meals is still a possibility that I really enjoy. Wearing masks is definitely something that, you know, we always do, we want to be safe, but I feel like we adjusted to it pretty quickly. My roommate actually a lot of times will wear her mask for like 30 minutes after getting back to the room because she just forgets it's on. So like we get pretty used to it pretty quickly. So I think it's definitely been different, but I've really seen the heart of all of my friends just really being passionate about maintaining connections and kind of adapting. And I think also being in a Christian community has allowed me to air sort of complaints or like concerns that I have just being in a pandemic, and really have very, I think, sound encouragement coming back, because in all the unknowns, I just have a lot of accountability of friends saying like, yeah, we don't know what's going on or what the future is, but directing me back to really sound encouragement and faith. So I've really appreciated that.
Yeah, thank you guys for honest answers and definitely very relevant answers, as you know, everything has shifted. But Abby, it's really encouraging to hear just your perspective. So we have a couple of minutes left, in which case I do want to check in and see if we have any questions for our panelists that we can send their way. And if not, we want to thank you so much for joining us. So
yeah, I think just one question I'd love to maybe we could close with and hear you guys answer is for like seniors in the college process, what advice would you give in the admissions process, or if they're considering Wheaton, like what would you want them to know? I'd love to hear a little bit of that from you guys. Yeah, I can answer that one. I think one like practical piece of advice would be start writing your like admissions application early. I did not do that. So I was doing it at the last minute. So just kind of do that early if you can, but if you can't, I did it at the last minute and it turned out okay. So don't stress. I think my biggest piece of advice would be just kind of trust God in the process. What I thought I would end up doing, fall of senior year was completely different than what I decided to do spring of senior year. And looking back on it, I wouldn't change a thing. I think that the process that God led me through was a really stressful one, but also a really growing one. So just kind of as you're considering Wheaton and other colleges, I would say just really, it can be very stressful. So I'm sorry that you guys have to go through it, especially during this time. But I think just remember that God is guiding your steps in this, and that it's going to be okay, even if it doesn't feel like it is right now. That everything is going to work out. And if you do end up coming to Wheaton, I would love to meet you if you end up coming here. But we'll be praying for you in this process.
Yeah, a little bit of encouragement and somewhat of a warning. Senioritis is a real thing. It does happen. I think one of my teachers in high school, at the end of the year, he was talking with me and he was like, yeah, most students are ready to go after spring break, but I feel like you've been checked out since Christmas. And and it was a little hard to hear, but don't be discouraged. College is very exciting. It's a brand new adventure awaiting in the fall, but you're still a student, you're still in high school. Do your best to maintain those relationships there, because honestly, those friends can be friends for a lifetime too. I know there's a lot of emphasis on how college friends are always your friends for a lifetime, but there are still opportunities for high school friends. Don't think that you have to leave everything behind in order to move forward.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Catherine, checking in with you. Anything else that our panelists should answer for us?
I think we're good.
We're all good. Great. Well, thank you everyone who has joined us. Thank you to our panelists. We so appreciate it, and we hope to hear from you soon. As Catherine mentioned, there are different ways to connect, visit, talk with us more, talk with students. And so we look forward to it. And we'll wrap up now. Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to our panelists for your session. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd really appreciate any feedback you could provide. This was just one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to check and sign up for additional sessions at IACAC.org. In about a week, you'll be able to find a recording of this session, as well as many others at that same website, IACAC.org. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.